was the first time. I'm going to share something personal that may surprise you. It may be so shocking, you might not believe me. I am a pessimist. Seriously. I've always been a pessimist. As far back as I can remember, I've always imagined what could go wrong. I've dwelled on the negative, and ultimately, I've expected the worst. Actually, let me clarify that. I'm a grateful pessimist, because while I expect the worst, I'm sometimes pleasantly surprised by the best. In fact, it's because I expect everything to go horribly wrong that I genuinely appreciate when things work out well. That's exactly what happened about a month ago when I gave my first Dvar Torah. Walking up to the bima, I envisioned myself failing. Honestly, I was worried that I might bore someone to sleep. I didn't have the slightest clue as to what I was doing, and I still don't, by the way. Yet, I knew that I wanted to give this a shot. While feeling terrified, I clung onto a tiny breadcrumb of hope that my words might resonate with one or two people. So, with a trembling voice and a brave face, I spoke my heart out. And gosh, the response I got was completely unexpected. Way more than one or two people connected. And no one snored, at least not that I noticed. Hearing about how the speech resonated with people in so many different ways made my heart swell with gratitude. In those brief moments where people were vulnerable and shared their stories with me, I felt blessed. The experience reignited a question that's been swirling in my mind for a while now. In a turbulent world, how do we achieve a sense of peace? How can you and I consistently feel that profound gratitude that makes life magical? The answer lies in this week's parasha, Chayei Sarah. Chayei Sarah begins with the verse, Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, and 20 years, and 7 years, the years of Sarah's life. According to Rashi, the phrase Chayei Sarah, or Sarah's life, is repeated at the beginning and at the end of the verse to show that the years of Sarah's life were equal in goodness. So if you imagine Sarah's life as a book, then the phrase Chayei Sarah is both the front and the back cover to her story. From start to finish, all of her book's pages were good. Kulan shavin letovah, Rashi comments, and therefore Sarah was blessed. But was her life really that great? Here comes the pessimist in me. I mean, consider that Sarah was essentially forced to move to an entirely new, unfamiliar land. She had to deal with the complexities of Hagar and Ishmael as unwanted members of her family. Not to mention, she struggled to have a child until she was 90 years old. That was 90 years of self-doubt, frustration, and the roller coaster of emotions that I can only imagine come with such a lengthy ordeal. It's easy to see that Sarah faced enormous hardships. So how could her life be considered blessed? Or is she proof that an entirely blessed life is nothing more than a disillusion? In my opinion, it all depends on how you respond to adversity. A blessed life isn't about the absence of challenges. It's about how you decide to deal with them. As difficult as her life was, Sarah lived a blessed life because of the hardships she faced. Sarah exuded goodness as she navigated incredibly painful experiences. She intentionally defined her life by blessing, not by sorrow. As she faced fear and uncertainty, she partnered with Abraham to lead a new chapter in Hebron. While managing feelings of hurt and betrayal, she juggled being a co-wife with Hagar for some time. Even though she struggled with infertility for 9 decades, Sarah modeled what it means to be a mensch. In moments where she could have been spiteful, she was kind. Of course, Sarah wasn't perfect, and neither are we. We're not always going to feel grateful. There will be trying days where we can't help but complain, feel overwhelmed, or do something that we later regret. We're human. But perhaps like Sarah, we can nudge ourselves to do good even when we feel lousy. Perhaps that's when we need it most. We can't expect hope to come our way, but we can create it. That's certainly what the character Ted Lasso does. If you're not familiar with the same name TV show, Ted Lasso is an inexperienced American coach who's hired to spearhead a professional soccer club in the UK. Like Sarah, he becomes a foreigner in a new land across the pond. Only worse, he's hated by the soccer club's loyal fans who see Lasso as the unqualified end to their team's success. When he's cursed at on the street or booed by a stadium full of fans, Lasso doesn't yell back or run away in shame. Instead, he decides to smile. He wishes the angry person on the street a good day. He encourages his players to do their best, despite the echoing scorn. He doesn't let the fans' negativity get to him. In fact, he doesn't let his divorce get the best of him. While carrying his own emotional burden, he manages to lift people up. He mends broken dynamics within the team. He touches people's lives, whether it be the grumpy team captain or a girl practicing soccer on the street. Despite it all, he reaches out with sincerity, homemade biscuits, and hope. And it's contagious. As he uplifts others, he lifts up his own spirits in the process, too. Now, Ted Lasso isn't hopelessly ignorant of life's troubles. It's because he understands how cruel the world can be that he chooses to be kind. And I wonder if in Chayei Sarah, Rebecca had the same intent when she selflessly gave the begging servant water. Maybe that's why she not only helped the stranger when he asked, but she offered to bring water for all of his camels, too. In that brief moment, she touched his heart. Though Rebecca and Ted Lasso are both characters, they're grounded in the authentic, universal emotions that we all feel. We're all going to have moments where we feel like everything is fighting against us. But in a seemingly dark world, we can respond by reaching out and showing that we care. That's what blessing is all about. It's about choosing chesed, loving kindness, even on your most difficult days. It's not about feigning happiness, because it's more than understandable to feel sad while doing good. Rather, it's about being kind to others when it's the last thing they'd expect. Even the smallest, purest of actions can give someone hope. Everyday gestures like letting a stranger go ahead of you in line, saying hello to someone who's sitting alone, telling a loved one how much you care about them just because, or really listening to a friend who's had a rough day too. As simple as they seem, they take effort to initiate. Just as it took me effort to prepare and deliver that Dvar Torah, and as it took many of you effort to bravely and openly share your stories with me. It takes intention and courage to connect. Yet, there's something otherworldly about getting to know people on a deeper emotional level. The meaning, validation, and gratitude that comes from a good deed goes both ways. So, when you see an opportunity to do good, I encourage you to take it. Model the kind of behavior you'd love to see in the world. Like Sarah, fill your life's book with mitzvot from cover to cover, so that a thread of goodness binds the pages. Let each stitch of care help weave your heart and soul back together. And when you look back and reflect on the pages thus far, I hope you'll feel a sense of peace, knowing that your years have been equally filled with good. I hope that feeling propels you into the next chapter. One ordinary yet extraordinary gesture at a time, you can bring about blessing and feel blessed. And that's coming from a pessimist, of all people. Trust me, it's beyond worth it. That's the end of my Dvar Torah. I did want to say one quick thing off the cuff. In spirit of this Dvar Torah and kindness, I challenge all of you to do one unexpectedly kind thing for someone you know, someone you don't know at a time they don't expect it. My birthday's coming up in a few days, and I feel like what better birthday gift to give out into the world than to spread some kindness. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.